What is going on, guys? Chu here, bringing you another review on Grand Blue Dreaming. Now, I gotta say, I am long overdue on these reviews. I apologize. I truly do mean that. I had been getting a little lazy and just busy with IRL stuff and whatnot. It's not an excuse. We're 5 episodes behind from where we were at the channel, but we're gonna resume here until things get hopefully better. In the meantime, I would appreciate the support. You guys are watching, but remember to subscribe, guys. It helps. It really does. So let's get to it. So in these first, well, no, I want to say these first few. In this episode 5, we focus on the school festival still. And one of the things that I was really surprised about is the fact that the guys were able to get in thanks to Azusa, and they're helping out with the whole setting up the stage and whatnot. And they come across these girls who are very pretty, but they're interested in Kohei. And Kohei has no interest in them. He's only interested in 2D women and, of course, his idols. And so it's funny to see how these girls were fooled basically into hanging out with the guys, and Kohei was going to show up as well. And he was there, but he wasn't there for long. And we get to meet this one specific one, Sakurako. And she actually, was the one most interested in him. And she makes fun of him. And I love how in the end, he's able to still go and try to have fun. It doesn't work out, but we see that the boys kind of stick with him. And I love how Iori literally pours a beer on her, and you disrespected our friend. It's one thing that we do it, but when other people do it, it's not okay. And it's one of those few things that you kind of value in real life, where you see sometimes you can make fun of your friends, your own family, but when someone else does it, it's not okay. It's one of those things. It's a double standard nonetheless, but you just can't do it. But then we going into the next episode, we see that the guys also, aren't having a great time at school. They actually being taught by that psycho teacher. I love that they try to do this experiment, and this experiment is trying to hurt them physically. In the end, they all go through it, trying to find the right amount of weight and pressure, all these things. And I love how they were trying to figure this out, and in the end they fooled the teacher, and he himself got hurt, which was kind of funny. But moving forward, we then see a camping trip with the whole squad, and kind of an initiation, not really, actually I take that back, not an initiation, but like a test of courage. And we have the juniors. So we have, of course, Chisa, Iori, Aina, and Kohei, and just the 4 of them going in and trying their best to survive. Obviously, this was set up by Azusa and the gang, and they're trying to scare the bejeebers out them. It doesn't work very well for the girls. We see that the guys, they get spooked out for different reasons, but in the end, it's just to scare them all, and they have a good time. But as they were having good times, we see that Chisa accidentally falls onto Iori, kissing him on the forehead. And we know that Chisa is very, I guess you could say, shy. She's not interested in that kind of stuff, and she gets all flustered. And of course, she plays it off by having to basically use some alcohol as backwash, and kind of using that as mouthwash, and trying to get her to forget that she did that. But she gets herself all drunk, and we see that Iori takes her and puts her to rest, and to kind of not be around everybody. And Aina's watching, and of course we know Aina has feelings for Iori. So seeing her being carried away, definitely was throwing some red flags for Aina. And one of the things that Iori heard while carrying Chisa was that she felt like he was going to be left out, and that he wasn't going to be around everybody else. And so this prompts him to then get a part-time. And this what kind of leads us into some new fun for Yori, because he joins his part-time job and he runs into none other than Sakurako, who is technically his senpai. She's wanting to teach him, and he is scared for his life. He doesn't want to be around her. He gets to see more of her personality. She tries to get even with him, and she's also interested not in him but in the other guy, who is also very good looking, and he's younger than them. And we see that she actually tries to be nice and plays off the innocent girl act around him. And like I said, he's younger, and she tries to kind of impress him. In fact, we see that Iori invites them to diving with the group, and she of course wants to make an impression and trying to woo him, and it doesn't work. In fact, she's kind of feels a little inferior because she feels like everyone there is beautiful except for, I hate saying this, but except for Keiki. And so they all go out there, and they all have fun. But we see I believe his name was Otoya. Otoya, actually, he's very shy, but he loves diving. He comes from a background of where he was actually doing this with his school, and he talks to Chisa, and I love how like a misunderstanding comes out of all this. And we feel as though, like, for Azusa, she feels like maybe there's something going on between Chisa and Otayo, but for Yori's like, I'm not really too worried about it. And by the end of that episode, we see that Toya's like, is anyone special for Yori? And we think that maybe he's part of he's interested in him, but it turns out that that's not really the case. He just feels as though Yori's kind of special. And I love how Chisa kind of takes it upon herself to kind of question him and trying to find out if if he has some kind of feelings. And it's like, no, that's I've always loved women. I've always it's like the funny questioning that they were trying to do to him. And so Sakuraku does actually try to confess to him. It doesn't go well. She gets rejected. Iori then tries to kind of like comfort her, and it's the best that he can. She of course tries to act all proud, but she is in fact a bit sad. So it is a little messed up, but at least she's now able to move on. But we see that Aina also, she's trying to move on and trying to be more assertive. She invites Iori to go out together, and they do. And in the last episode that we have here, she actually goes out with him. They have fun and they enjoy it, and it's all good. But a misunderstanding comes out of this too, because Azusa says that she's having to go back, that it's a financial thing, and we see that Iori kind of gets Kohei and Chisa to help, and it turns out that it was all a misunderstanding, that it was actually her having to go back home because her parents wanted her to help out on the farm and to help her out, if she doesn't, that she wasn't going to have her tuition paid. So really just a misunderstanding there on their part, or on Azusa's part, that kind of creates this whole situation. But it was fun, to see these guys get rally together to try to help out their friend. But overall, these episodes have been fun. We get introduced to some new characters, and I've enjoyed it. And so, apologies guys for being behind, but we'll be back on schedule now.